Hello, fabulous fans and superstars of my dear friend Nadiya Shah. I am Yuriria Robles and I wish you a very happy new year 2025. Welcome to the predictions for each sign for the month of January 2025. Remember to consult your sun sign and rising sign, and if possible, also the sign of your moon for a more complete interpretation. Gemini, let's talk about the great visit to your sign, Jupiter, that has brought you expansion and many relationships. Perhaps you do not feel it because the demand for work and negotiations that you have had to carry out is frankly a challenge, which also will continue all the month. It is about containing your superficial communication and directing it towards new knowledge that since the entry of Pluto in Aquarius, you will begin to digest at full speed. Only that in the social and professional circle, you will have to stop the flow of information to process your feelings and those of others. Then, show yourself serene, sensible, and mature. Do not allow anything to put you off. If you are surprised by foolishness, yours or that of others, you can only fix yours, allowing feelings to express themselves and leave you clear and honest communication. Fixing the foolishness of others is not your job. This is the last month that the South Node is in Libra, so you enjoy recognizing what ideas will be developed, because it is you who will most benefit from the transit of Pluto in Aquarius. The month begins with a tense dialogue imposed by the Moon and Pluto conjunction in exact opposition to Mars, which signifies a work of action and confrontation, setting up a power struggle that proposes an interaction between the individual and the group in a balanced way. New laws, religious beliefs, higher education appear in your life, and you will have the opportunity to express yourself creatively, but as a leader, you will have to take into account the group, showing intelligence and discipline to control your obsession for the new. The strength is in the dialogue. As Mars is in a retrograde period on the 6th, it re-enters Cancer to move its dialogue towards the Sun in Capricorn, turning the attention towards money, possessions, and self-esteem that you have to protect versus rebirthing processes, legacies, and money that you share with other people. It is a time of shifting, achieved goals to protect what gives you security. This dialogue generates anxiety and tension because moving towards the closing of goals implies leaving behind the past, and that scares us, especially on the 13th when the full moon occurs together with Mars, strengthening the old values that made us get to where we are, and we feel that the goals and ways to improve put at risk what you have achieved. This process will extend until April, and only then will we return to the dynamic that was raised on January the 1st, allowing a leadership that is able to move the group into the future with discipline and intelligence. In reference to love, Venus is ending its passage in Aquarius, but will move on the 3rd to Pisces, where its energy is expressed softly, imposing its logic of romance and idealism. Will thus face the challenge then of commitment, because on the 18th, Venus reaches Saturn and establishes a harmonic dialogue with Mars, emphasizing with this love for the past and at the same time love for the new, because Uranus imposes a brief harmonic nexus towards the end of the month, when on the 28th Venus reaches the degree where it will return in its retrogradation period in March and April. On the 29th, it reaches Neptune in Pisces, and the North Node also enters this sign. So all this means a great idealization, a longing for love and desire that surpasses everything imagined. On the non-coherent side, it signifies great sacrifice and detachment from reality. Being that it touches the area of your career and public status, pay attention what you are offered and make sure it is legitimate, and do not take shortcuts or cut corners. When Venus goes to the inferior conjunction, it brings an exercise of conscience because desires surpass the possible and the real. A sacrifice of what we value socially ends up happening. The point is to recognize what we are going to offer, a love out of series or a great professional position. This movement to Pisces is emphasized by the North Node, which will remain in Pisces for 18 months, with its counterpart, the South Node in Virgo. This change affects relationships that will insatiably seek this idealization that is natural to the North Node in Pisces, but will be considerably increased by the Venus-Neptune conjunction. The objective of this configuration is to reestablish faith in love and in the ideal, but it brings the stamp of impatience because it goes towards an inferior conjunction of Venus and will end in a long conjunction with Saturn, which is where it started, bringing the love affair or the situation to reality. Growth and order are configured by Jupiter in Gemini and Saturn in Pisces. This supposes a conflict of possibilities. The dilemma is to change or continue as is, and Mars in Cancer is emphasizing the attachment to the past, and Pluto imposes its orientations towards the future, making the choice even more tense and complex. The dilemma is to take a risk or deny an opportunity. Reconciling this is the work. This is a process that will be in effect until mid-year. On the 13th, when the full moon forms in Cancer, it does so in conjunction with Mars, which emphasizes the confrontation with Pluto that we have been pointing out. So taking care of security should not distract us from our goal, because if we do not risk changing, improving ourselves internally, and we hide protecting what we know, we will lose progress and the purpose will not be fulfilled. On the other hand, risking everything by losing security is not advisable either. So balance is necessary, not only during this day, but the following week, from the 13th to the 21st of the month, when the Sun will join this dialogue. Neptune allows us to imagine how improvement would be possible without losing security. Perhaps we can sacrifice some things, situations or relationships in search of progress, realizing that they are really a burden or a comfort zone, and that we can no longer stay in the same place or in the same situation. So we can be honest and use diplomacy and elegance to say goodbye to the old and strive to reach the new. As I said at the beginning, it requires an exercise of discipline, effort, and willpower, above all, to reach the desired goal. Now let us remember that belonging does not mean adjusting or conforming to what others order. It is about offering the best of ourselves and negotiating with others. If they do not want to, that is not the case. And in contrast, accepting what others are and offer. If you do not want to, then there is no obligation to stay. But by accepting each and every one obtains the responsibility of their actions, fulfilling their obligations, maintaining a creative attitude in the group. Even through Uranus, we have the willingness to change the costume and the old. Mercury, in its passage through Capricorn, also focuses on the goal, but even with this, we can insist on the fear that gives us to lose what we have gained. Even if it means improvement, it is wanting to put on new shoes without taking off the old ones. With this full moon, be prepared to secure your resources and those you share with your partners and spouse. You don't have to risk everything. You must have to get rid of what you don't need or what has already served its purpose. You must be sensible, and even if you feel that everything is safe, the unexpected will be present. That's why I suggest that you do not put everything in a single proposal. Rather, it's about diversifying resources, securing what's necessary, and only risking a part. The full moon also emphasizes the decision-making process between the old and the new. Leaving the comfort zone requires courage and knowing how to adapt to the unknown. The old will be idealized because Neptune is lifting the veil of the ideal of the past, and Pluto supports this mirage. But at the same time, we are tempted by the new due to the harmonious dialogue between Uranus at this time. In addition, we feel the confrontation of the wound of the past with the rebellion to come to an agreement. We are in no way willing to give in on anything. Also, Venus at this time, together with Saturn, cooperates in the tense dialogue with Jupiter that proposes an excess of communication with multiple voices and proposals that cause dispersion, and yet the resolution of this conflict would make us win the future. I propose calm and patience because the pressure of the new is inevitable. For the new moon on the 29th, you will discover new concepts, philosophies and ideologies, which will inspire you to feel creative. This will have its time and place. For now, it is only a goal because before developing them, you will have a clear idea of what learning and negotiations you must do. But due to the opposition of Mars, it is a matter of balance between your knowledge and that of your brothers, neighbors, and cousins. There, you have to come to an agreement and not fight as much as possible. You understand, and that is your task, but not everyone has your mental speed amplified by the great benefactor. Remember that you have to show yourself sensible and professional, not disoriented and intense. You have a very important professional goal to achieve, and although it must be adjusted later to reality, for now be inspired by it, but do not lose your head in any kind of excess. Just before the end of the month on the 29th, the new moon, preceded by Pluto and Mercury, reinforces the sense of renewal in the groups to which we belong, in hopes, in ideologies, and above all, in what we consider intelligent. Also at this time, Mars receives all the support to find reasons, feelings to preserve what is valuable, and with this we will feel the strength to defend in an orderly and sensible way your beliefs, policies, and tastes. In addition, the North Node promises an ideal, a utopia if you will, and at this time the position of Mars in relation to Saturn seems to show agreements on what is worth preserving and what is not. This last planet is the ruler of the lunation, and in its position in Pisces, it brings us an effort to accept that it is possible to order the imagined reality. At times, what we imagine will be too big, and we will still suffer from the excesses of Pisces, but we will seek to achieve an improvement anyway. The essential challenge to overcome is to accept the wound, forgive in order to move, and force us to negotiate being honest with those with whom it is truly necessary. Only in this way will we be able to overcome resentment, anger, and paralysis. This contradiction between the planets in Pisces and the group in Aquarius makes it difficult for us to act. On the one hand, it awakens the rebellion, and on the other, the wound of acting at the wrong time or without success. The essential thing in terms of relationships is to accept that we must communicate without falling into dramas, manipulations, or victimization. But the obligation now and for 18th month is to understand feelings, our own and those of others. Analysis will not be in fashion, but we must try to make them into account. The path to resolution is long and goes in this direction. First, let us give space to the new, asking ourselves what we want to free ourselves from. Then, let us review what is truly valuable, inspires us, and has a special value in the heart. Let us make the decision to act with discipline, and then let us remember our purposes and goals. It is with all that we understand that changing is for our own good. Neither foolishness nor dramas help us at this time. To end the month, the emphasis is on Aquarius. It helps us to be intelligent, but let us remember that we are beginning to revalue intelligence. However high it may be It cannot isolate us through arrogance. It is rather to teach, to communicate to others, to suggest new paths and solutions, not to impose them by force. Even if it's Pluto, let us choose the path of transformation. Let us avoid the path of imposition. You can certainly do it.